Okay, so I've been trying to figure out for the last 5 minutes or so whether the you know, the whole wide angle frame is better or the 35 crop. Oh, okay. Looks like you can't 35 crop whilst you are recording. I should know this. How's it going? Welcome back to another video, and in today's video we're going to be breaking down that little clip that you just seen there from the whole morning scene that I set up in my own kitchen. We're going to be doing a full breakdown on this, and I'm going to show you guys exactly what I used and how I achieved the cinematic look and a couple of things that I would actually change. So let's get into it. So I'm going to be throwing up some stills as we go along here, and I will show you guys a little floor plan I did create for this little scene, which was super helpful when it came to planning out my shots. And if you don't already do it, guys, I highly recommend creating floor plans for your scene. So I decided to start off with the Aputure Lightstorm 60X and sort of throw it against the back wall there with all of the other objects and illuminate those. Luckily enough, those shadows that you can see in the background are actually natural of how they were caught on camera. It was just the angle that I had it at. It was sort of like facing a little bit past me, so I was getting a bit of the light hitting my side here and a bit of the side of my face, giving me that nice little warm tones. So I was really happy with how that looks and didn't really have to mess around with that too much. I did include barn doors just to control the spill of the backlight there just a little bit. I do just want to add, I'm really glad that I decided to take it outside because it gave me a much better desired look. And of course you'll be able to see that this is fed through from an extension from the mains. It was a little bit wet on the floor, so I had to be careful where I was placing my extension and my electric wires. This was then placed onto a heavy duty lighting stand with a sandbag just to protect it because there was a little bit of wind as well outside, but nothing too crazy. That was enough to secure the light there, and as I say, I was really happy with that. That was the first thing that we did. So once I did that, I noticed that I was getting quite a bit of ambient lighting spilling into the frame. Because it was closer towards the evening when I was sort of filming it, it was more of a cooler color temperature, and of course it's meant to be early morning. There isn't going to be that type of light around in that scene, so it was important to remove it. So from behind the camera was this big window sort of bringing in all of this ambient light, and the best way that I removed it was just using some black material to put it in front of the window, just covering up and stopping any natural daylight from getting into the frame. There was a little bit spilling through into the door, but it was getting closer to the evening, so I didn't really feel as that I needed to cover that up, as it was only a small section. It was just out of the frame, I think, so it wasn't important to get rid of that. I feel like it's always important just to carry a bit of black material just for maybe some negative fill, but mostly just controlling natural daylight and anything that you don't want spilling into your scene. So as soon as I added the black material, I encountered another problem, which was that the image was very, very contrasted, and all of the darks and the shadows were just one big black mess. And I needed to bring in a fill light there to counteract those measures of taking away that natural light and sort of bringing it in with my own. So the next stage to that was to add the Aputure 200D, angled it towards the frame. I turned it around and then I pointed it up towards the ceiling. I do have a little clip just showing you guys there. I'll be able to pull up a screenshot now. And I did it so that it was facing just a little bit out of the way, but not enough to completely block away the light. So it was casting just a very small amount of light. So when I brought the fill light in and bounced it off the ceiling, it added the effect of just all of these missing details from the frame. So for example, the plant pot in the foreground, that's got plenty of highlighted detail there, so you can sort of make out what it is clearer. You'll be able to see in the top left of the frame that there are a little bit of ambient light spilling into the glass, so you know that there's a light source there. Also, you'll be able to see with the extractor fan at the top of the frame on the left hand side, that's highlighted more than the right side. Again, light source, you can sort of see where that's coming from there. I didn't want to add in too much fill light because then I was worried that the key light wouldn't have the desired effect that I was going for, because it was meant to be early morning, everything was meant to be warm. I believe the key light was set to about 2700 Kelvin and the fill light was set to about 5600. It was important for the key light to be the most strongest light source in the scene, so I didn't want to bring in anything too crazy there. So I then decided to add a Aputure T2C tube light, and that was positioned camera right. That was with a grid that I attached to it, and this was important because I didn't want too much of the light to spill into the frame and get rid of that contrasted look that I'd created with the fill and the key light coming in there. But I needed to give what they call a little bit of a kicker onto the face. So the tube light mate was the best contender for that, and I positioned it towards where my face was going to be because of some test recordings. I knew roughly where I was going to end up, so I just kept that there. It also added a little bit more character to the shadows in the background, which was great. In the middle you've got sort of like a little diffuse shadow, so it's not as intense. So yeah, that was the purpose of the tube light brought in, and with all of those little things thrown in there, that completed our scene essentially. Now, not only is this YouTube channel a learning curve, but it's also important to talk about the things that we would improve on, because nothing is ever going to be perfect. Okay, so the one thing that I'd probably change that sticks out to me the most was the fill light. I do feel like it's a bit too prominent. I feel like I could have turned that down just a little bit, or maybe have just added a bit of negative fill to block it out from coming into the scene as much as it did. The background, for example, I feel like we should have had some sort of practical light there to just add a little bit more depth to the scene and have me backlit to a certain extent. Maybe the sun's hitting off a reflective surface and then it's hitting the back of the subject to make them stand out a bit more from the background. This was made with a specific kit for a specific time frame. So if I had all the time in the world, these are just the little imperfections that I would probably correct. And of course, one thing that I'd probably add rather than change would just be a couple more shots. We've got like sort of like a mid shot. I'd probably go for a close-up and just add a bit more story to what I'd created here. I really enjoyed jumping on and sort of just experimenting with this project, to be fair. It was a lot of fun to set up and sort of problem solve as I was going along. I'm definitely glad that I took in the practices of the floor plan, and obviously I had an idea for the location, being my kitchen. So with those two things in there, I sort of had a rough idea in my head of what to expect from it, and I didn't go in completely blind, which I'm sort of grateful for. Okay, so hopefully this breakdown made some sense to you guys, and you had a feel for what was going on in my brain at the time when I was creating this scene. Again, I had a lot of fun with it, and I'd love to hear what you guys can create, perhaps things that you do differently. Now, let me know down below in the comments. You guys can go ahead and like the video if you want. I don't particularly mind, but it's up to you guys if you want to support the channel or not. Okay, so there's lots of things that I'm excited for in the new year, and fingers crossed I can look back at this video and think, you smashed it, mate, congratulations. So yeah, that's really exciting stuff to look out for in the new year. And yeah, I just want to practice some more with some scenes when I do get the time to do it, and just sort of like experiment with my cinematography like I have here. That's about it, guys. I had a blast. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Take care. See you in a bit.